So, Pap, this week we got I feel like we could say this almost every week, but this week we got a report from NASA saying that the Earth has been warming at a rate faster than at any time in the past 1,000 years. And, you know, we see this almost 2016 is probably, it's looking like it's going to be the hottest year on record. 2015 was the hottest year on record. 2014.
Yeah.
And I feel like we say this every other month. This is the hottest July.
But now there's leaps. But now you're having some other things happen. You're making the bigger leaps that some of the climatologists are so concerned about, where you're losing actual species of animals, and you're displacing entire species in places like the poles. And for somebody to say there's nothing to all this at this point is just so sick. That's why I love this story about Richard Reevey. With the Richard Reevey used to be a tobacco PR guy, and he meets with the industry. Basically, they have this massive meeting, and he goes to this conference of the Rocky Mountain Coal Mining Institute. It took place in Snowmass, Colorado. And his topic is survival victory. Survival is victory, lessons from the tobacco wars. And what I love about this, Sam, is he does such a great job trying to tell these boneheads that are in this industry that all they have to do is look to see what happened to the tobacco industry, where the tobacco industry lied, they committed criminal conduct, they committed perjury before Congress, they bought off a bunch of what I call biostitutes. These are just cheap character quality scientists at places like Harvard and Yale and Princeton and various places around the world. They pay them $100,000 and they get them to write whatever they want them to write. And what it does is creates doubt. It's all about doubt. That's what we saw in the tobacco wars. It was ask the question, well, we really don't know enough. We need to know more. And that's been going on now, for decades, and while the earth is melting.
Well, and that is also the point. I mean, I think a lot of people, when they hear that, they say, well, but if the truth is going to come out eventually, why would they do that? But more than any person, I don't know, any person alive understands why a corporation would basically just try and play out the clock, because every day that they do this, even if they have to have a reckoning moment like we saw with the tobacco industry, the moment is not so reckoning. And every day they do that, they're still at the end, even if they pay that money out, making money each one of those days.
Yeah. The way it works is the tobacco. If you look at the documents in the tobacco industry, I understand they're using exactly the same profile, but the tobacco, oddly enough, actually borrowed from the oil industry. They have it all backwards. Tobacco looked at what the oil industry was doing in creating doubt, and they put it into it. What it is, it's called the "we can't possibly know" defense. And they have focused this thousands of times throughout the country to find out what is it that would allow us more time. And more time is to say, well, A disagrees with B, B disagrees with C, C disagrees with D. Therefore, we can't know. We can't make these accusations because we don't have enough information. And the reason they did that is because they do the numbers on it. And here's how the numbers work. If the tobacco industry knew, okay, we're making $60 billion a year selling tobacco. When this is all over, we're going to have to pay out a few $1 billion, and we're going to be just fine. So it's just a cost of doing business analysis. The people with a brain in the energy industry, certainly the coal industry, they understand that there's going to be a day when people go to jail, hopefully, where some of these people, it's just not tacit involvement, it's active, hands-on involvement to create a fraud that causes all types of damages to cities, states, counties, federal government. And so what they did in the tobacco industry is you simply had the AGs get together and say, okay, because people were smoking tobacco and dying from cancer, it cost Medicaid X number of dollars. Now we want that money back. Ultimately, that's what could very easily happen to both the coal industry and the oil industry. But nothing's really going to happen, Sam, until somebody goes to jail. There's plenty of memos that tie people up that make this decision to say, we know what's happening. We simply have to delay it. And it's tantamount to murder. I mean, it's tantamount to manslaughter if you think about it. People are going to die because of this. They know that. The tobacco industry knew people were going to die because of tobacco. They knew that. But again, the Justice Department was such a miserable failure that not only did they not put anybody in jail, the feds didn't have enough guts to go forward with a meaningful case against the tobacco industry.
When you go through all those documents through discovery, and you see this same scenario played over and over again, where you have a corporation or an industry that is selling a product that they know will likely cause people's deaths or et cetera, et cetera.
It's manslaughter. It's truly manslaughter. Yeah.
But what is going on in the minds of the specific individual? So like when Richard Reevey goes out and he presents this to the climate industry, what is he trying to? Is he trying to just address like individuals and say if I reach 2 or 3 key players in each corporation, that could turn things around? I mean, what? That's
the best you can hope for, because money is such a narcotic, Sam. When you looked at the documents in the tobacco industry, there was contemplation of death from heart. I mean, it wasn't guesswork. I mean, the CEOs were sitting there and they're saying, yeah, this could happen, but if we can just stave this off, then we're going to be okay. The best analysis probably is the Pinto case, exploding gas can. People know about this case, exploding gas tank on the car, and they calculated how many people are going to burn to death. And after they burn, how many will burn to death? How many will burn and just be so horribly injured that they're going to be live, but we got to pay money out? There's a whole page where they do the calculations, and then at the end of the page they say, well, we're going to make X number of dollars on the Pinto, so we're going to keep it on the market because it's a good selling car, and this payout will be fine. So they do a calculation of how many deaths, how many injuries, how many horrible disfiguring kind of injuries are going to take place, and then they decide this is a good deal for us. I see that almost every case I handle, Sam.
Well, I mean, I'm fascinated by this stuff. I just read a piece about just the way that cars are designed. There's apparently a Chrysler car that was designed in such a way that made it difficult for people to know that they were not in park when they had moved it. And I mean, I'm sure this is stuff. And I got to say, this is also wasn't necessarily the plan, but is also why I'm very excited to read Law and Disorder, which is your book, which I think obviously is coming out in just a couple of weeks.
Yeah, thank you.
Because it's this type of stuff, this dynamic. I think it's fascinating, and I think it's so important for people to understand this dynamic, because I think it's very hard for people who don't work with it, like you have for years and years, to understand the minds of people who would actually sort of offload these costs in health and happiness and money to the public. But Pap, appreciate it. It's Law and Disorder. People can go get it on Amazon, pre-order it now.